Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another segment of JP analysis, because we've got a lot of things that JP's come out with that I still need to go over. And so yeah, here we go. Because JP's most recent event is whatever the fuck this is, where they introduced Dondo, Alter, and Cagliostro. Is that how I say his name? Hopefully I got it right. Whenever I see the name Cagliostro, I always think of the one from Grand Blue Fantasy. But it's cool that he's here in FGO, assuming it's the same character, which I assume it is. I'm not very familiar with whatever media Cagliostro is from, but yeah, I assume this is just FGO's take on the whole Cagliostro character right here. So yeah, let's get started. Let's break it down. See how these guys are like. First of all, I will say I think their art is amazing. Though I do prefer Dondo Alter's first ascension because it reminds me the most of, obviously, the original, the OG Dondo. And I believe I asked my chat if this was the original Danganronpa artist, but apparently it's not. But it is still, they still took somebody from the Danganronpa team, or it was somebody who at least worked on Danganronpa. So I suppose it's like a spiritual successor, almost, if you can say that. And then of course, Dondo, Alter, and Cagliostro have the same artist, of course. I don't know what JP players call Count of Monte Cristo, actually. Like, do they call him Dondo, Alter? What's the community name for this dude? I don't know. For now I'm just gonna call him Dondo Alter, but I'll just call him whatever the JP community calls him. Kind of funny saying Dondo Alter, but you know. In any case, let's take a look at his stats. Like, damn, he's got some amazing stats. 12,700. For those of you who are not familiar, high 12,000s is really high. Like 13K plus attack rating is pretty top tier. Like, I think even now we only have like 2 servants who hit over 13,000. Like Jalter and like Summer Kama. There might be like a 3rd or 4th servant that I'm not aware of who have attack ratings that high. But like, if you clear like over 12,500, if you are in the 12,000s range, you already have a really high attack rating to begin with. So not only does Dondo Alter have 12,705 attack, but remember he's an Avengers, so Avengers have 0.1x class damage modifiers, which means that actually his attack rating is even higher. So that's pretty insane. Obviously, to make up for that, he has very low HP. But I mean, that's usually typical of Avengers. Low HP, high damage, or high attack rating. Like, basically, Berserkers without their whole, like, we are weak to everything class disadvantage. But so yeah, that's kind of how Avengers have always been, so. Not a surprise, but still really nice to see a super high attack rating, nonetheless. And of course, our boy Nobunaka voicing him again, as he should. Chaotic Evil. Let's see. He's got a Lancer deck just like OG Dondo. Lancer deck, 3-hit arts, 5-hit quicks with a 0.72% MP charge on attack. I feel like that's pretty high. Let me actually compare that to original Dondo. Edmund Dantes. Because, again, OG Dondo also has a Lancer deck. 2-hit for 0.62. Okay, so Dondo Alter technically has better, technically has better MP gain, but I imagine that's because of their MPs, because OG Dondo has an AoE MP, whereas Dondo Alter only has a single target, if I'm not mistaken. So that would explain why. That basically means, like, OG Dondo felt like he was like not counting his looping refund ability, just his regular MP gain, just off his cards or whatever. I felt like it was pretty good. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe my take here, as some would say, is bad, but I felt like OG Dondo's MP gain, regular MP gain, was okay. Either okay to pretty good. From my trying to remember last time I used him in an actual challenge quest setting. So if that's how I remember OG Dondo, that means that Dondo Alter here, with the same deck with better hit counts, and a higher MP gain. This dude should gain MP charge like a motherfucker. I feel like, right? So he shouldn't have any problem in that respect. So that should be pretty fucking good for him. And again, same Lancer deck. Better hit counts overall. So you'd love to see it. Alright, skills time. Oh, traits. Does he have any notable traits? Third skill, he has levitating. Suppose that makes sense. Because I know there's a servant in the game that takes advantage of levitation, or the levitation trait. So in case that ever comes into play. I will say though, he has a very low amount of traits. Like, this is just the basic ass bitch traits here. So yeah, weak to Enema Elish. How the fuck is he weak to Enema Elish anyway? What kind of weapon does he even use? But then again, obviously Enema Elish isn't limited to just physical weapons, I don't think so. In any case, well, I guess he does have a sword here. Yeah, take a look at this. So that's probably why. But Enema Elish, Servant, Humanoid, Helmenidae, Servant. Yeah, these are all, like, normal-ass shit for the most part. Then levitating. But I think quite a few Servants have levitating. It's not even that uncommon of a trait to begin with. So, yeah, this motherfucker doesn't have a lot of traits at all. I feel like if you go up against him as a boss, there's not a lot of things you could take advantage of. Like, obviously, you can use Tama Lance or anybody else who has an anti-man, a super effective mod. But yeah, it's gonna be kind of. Other than that, it's gonna be kind of tough to like try to like take advantage of like any traits that you could use like super effective mods against. Yeah, I'm not sure how much that's gonna end up mattering, but you know, just something to take note of there. Anyways, onto his actual kit. Let's see. First skill, dual quick arts buster, or quick arts buster. Yeah. Dual quick buster buff, 3 turns, 20-30. Okay, good. Great. You'd love to see it. And then here's his hard defense with self-invul for 2 attacks, 3 turns. Okay. 8 to 6 turn cooldown, pretty standard. Nothing out of the ordinary. Second skill, 30% attack buff, great as well. That'll stack with his color buffs with his first skill. Grant self debuff on attack buff for 3 turns. Excuse me. Where he inflicts burn, okay, for 3 turns onto enemies when attacking. It doesn't say normal attacking, so I assume his MP also applies this too, which is good. Grant self poison debuffing me, that's very specific. Not sure how often you're going to be using that. But more importantly, grant self debuffing me for 3 times 3 turns, that's good. Some defensive utility there. Make sure to yeet debuffs away whenever that becomes a problem, or if you think it's going to become a problem. Also on an 8 to 6 turn cooldown. Normally a skill like this would, on any other servant, I feel like, I think I mentioned this on stream, but normally on any other servant, having a skill like this, with all these effects, would normally have a 9 to 7 turn cooldown, not an 8 to 6. So I suppose 5-star privilege is very real here. But, hey. I'm sure Dondo Alter will take his dubs wherever he can. And then third skill, 30-50% charge, the usual. And yeah, the star weight buff and crit damage. But I was about to say, what is this? This is basically the self-modification buff that a couple servants have, like regular BB and Jalter, I think. Yeah, because the self-modification skill increases both crit damage and their star weight. So yeah, it looks like Dondo has that in addition to a 50% battery. So good to see. Make sure he crits like a motherfucker. Take advantage of that super high attack rating. And then let's see, standard passive, standard Avenger passives. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Though it is very good that he has, considering his third skill, it's very nice that he has Oblivion Correction EX rank. To max out the crit damage buff, or crit damage passive buff. So, love to see it. Anti-Avenger, that's funny. So I suppose you could use him against other Avengers too, just for shits and giggles. Not really just for shits and giggles. I'm sure it actually plays a big part. If you're going up against an Avenger boss and you want to use Dondo Alter against it for whatever reason. Okay, there, Dondo Alter's MP. Let's see. Single target. Very interesting. Single target. Ignores Invul, so Invul Pierce, great. 500% chance to stun them for 1 turn. Holy shit, this is amazing already. I feel like it's been a while. How long has it been since the last servant we had that had an effect like this? Where they have basically a guaranteed chance to stun their ass for a turn. Like, minus them having debuff immunity or something like that. Like, I don't remember the last time we had a servant like this. Like, the only other servant who has a 500% stun off their NP is, like, Enkidu, I think? And isn't Enkidu's stun, like, fucking conditional? Or is it guaranteed? Let's see. No, it's conditional, too. He only stuns, divine enemies, yeah, because of his whole Enema Elish thing. Except Dondo just has this, and it's unconditional, too. Okay. That's pretty fucking good. And a single target damage, like we mentioned. And then looks like he has, I believe this is the same damage formula that Romulus Carinus has. That calculates how much extra damage he does against Roman enemies. Or something like that. Oh no, is it against anti-Roman? Something like that, right? Except instead of tagging Roman enemies, Dondo Alter here just sees how many burn stacks they have and just does more damage off that. So his, what is it? His second skill giving him a inflict burn on attack buff makes a whole lot more sense now. And then he has a 5% chance to inflict burn on himself for 3 turns. Actually, that actually doesn't matter as much, because as long as he uses MP while his second skill is active, he should not have to deal with that. Originally, I thought that this had the potential of being a problem, because Dondo Alter doesn't have a lot of health, obviously, right? Only at level 90, only 11, like not even 12,000 HP. Of course, that doesn't include foes, but still, that's still a very low amount of HP compared to, you know, a lot of other 5-star servants out there. So initially, I was thinking that his guaranteed self burn would be kind of an issue, but now that I think about it, because the second skill gives him debuff immunity, right? Debuff immunity is the only way to prevent, like, debuffs that have a 500% chance of happening from happening. So as long as he uses his been playing too much Star Rail, clearly. As long as he uses NP while his second skill is active, he doesn't need to worry about this at all. So that's cool. I suppose it kind of sucks that he needs to use one of his debuff immunity stacks to protect himself from his own burn demerit, especially if you're going up against a boss that has a lot of debuffs of their own, right? If they like spamming debuffs on you for whatever reason. But still, at least he has a way to deal. At least he has a way of dealing with his own burn, and obviously you love to see it, because obviously a lot of other servants in the game have demerits that they just kind of have to take L's for. Like, they don't have a choice; they have to hold the L, or they just have to hold that shit. So it's good to see that Dondo Alter has a way to deal with his own demerit, which, you know, arguably it probably won't even make a difference anyway, assuming you play him right. But, you know, you don't want to have to give Dondo Alter, it feels like, more trouble than he has to deal with, because again, he doesn't have the health to really outlast enemies if he can help it, right? And of course, the overcharge is 10% defense debuff, which is nice. And then just checking out his max bond craft essences in case it's any good, which it probably isn't, because, you know, imagine having a good max bond C, Omega lol. When equipped on him, Dondo Alter increase parties damage against enemies with burn stats by 20%. Yeah, so a support damage CE on a DPS single target servant. Yeah, okay, whatever, bro. Lazango continues their tradition of giving very shitty max bond CEs to the wrong servants. Or actually, technically, the CE itself isn't shit. It's that CE was interesting, but they gave it to the wrong servant. So it's like, all right, here we go again. More useless max spawn Cs. Cosmetic bond Cs. Woohoo! Anyways, overall analysis of Dondo. He's very clearly a boss servant. I mean, duh. I mean, single target, single target NP, pierce invul, 5 guaranteed chance to stun their ass. Yeah, he's definitely a boss servant. Now, I wonder how good of a solo servant he is. Because obviously people like Ro and Plushie are probably going to be a lot better of a judge of determining how good of a solo servant he is. He should have some very good potential. I just don't know how top tier he would be. He feels like he has the potential to be top tier because again, pierce invul and stun, these two things are very, very good to say the least. Yeah. So it's like he has a lot of tools cuz he's got like the one turn guaranteed stun kind of means that he has like a sort of hard defense for himself because it basically buys him another turn, right? It's a free turn that he gives himself if whenever he uses his NP. Like honestly, you know what? He should actually be a top tier solo servant, or at least a boss killer, right? Because especially if he's solo, given his deck, which is a Lancer deck, but he has very good MP charge, and he's got very good hit counts. Like basically, it's regular Dondo's kit, or regular Dondo's deck and hit counts, but basically better, right? Because he has a single target MP, that means that La Zingle can afford to give him a higher MP charge stat, in 0.72 over OG Dondo's 0.62. So he should, and considering he should make a lot of stars, right? Even though his skills don't give him any stars alone, like just by nature of him being a quick servant, right? Him having an MP and having 2 quick cards that have a lot of hits on them, he should generate a ton of stars. So I think I'm starting to see his game plan here. He has a 50% battery, right? That you use to get him started on his first NP. Like you give Dondo either a 50% starter MP charge, charge CE that is, or hell, you can just give him like Black Rail or something. And then because he has a 50% battery, he gets started on his first MP right away. And once he gets his first MP, that's where he really gets the ball rolling, right? That's when he really gets shit going. Because as soon as he MPs, right, especially if he's solo, then he can just do a quick Brave Chain that gets him a lot of stars. He pops his 3rd skill for the extra crit damage, and yeah, actually no, he already popped his first. He already popped his 3rd skill actually to use the charge. But because the crit damage for 3 turns, ideally he at least uses at least one of those turns that he has enhanced crit damage for, with all the stars. And then he just basically loops himself into another MP. It just keeps rolling. He just keeps doing that over and over and over. At least when he's a solo servant. And then he has his own dual quick buster buff off his 1st skill, which will obviously improve his damage and star gen and MP gen, of course, because quick performance. And so yeah, originally, I was thinking that his hard defense skill obviously is useful, but because it's only for 2 attacks, I was like, well, if he's solo in a boss situation, then if the enemy boss attacks 3 times, then that might be an issue because Dondo alters his 1st skill doesn't even cover him for all 3 attacks. Like you have to rely on the boss like wasting one of their actions on like a skill or something. And again, because Dondo Alter doesn't have that much health, like he can't really afford to take hits where if he doesn't have to. So it's like I was gonna say that if he had a 3-hit invul, that would be much better. But now that I think about it, maybe that's not that big of a deal anymore because like his whole idea is that he spams his NP, and the more he spams it, the more he stuns the enemy boss. And the more he stuns them, the more time he buys himself, right? So yeah, that feels like his game plan. And obviously that's a very strong game plan if that's the case. Not only that, but he has a way to increase his own damage output even further thanks to his like super. I actually don't know what the community calls this sort of buff. Like, we have our power mods, we have our super effective mods, but what the fuck do we call this? Do we have a name for this? Again, it's the Cureness, like, anti-Roman, like, damage calculation, but do we have a name for this kind of shit? Actually, I don't know. I'd love to know if anybody has a name for this. Or if anybody's come up with one. So, yeah, so Dondo Alter's game plan is to get his first MP, go with quick brave chains, yeah, and spam the shit out of his MP. And the more he spams it, the more he stuns enemies, and the more time he buys himself to do even more damage. And they have an invul, then, well, fuck you, right? Let's see. And then he has his own his own bonus damage modifier, or bonus damage bonus. Bonus damage bonus? Yeah, let's be very redundant. And he has a way of inflicting it too, because the second skill gives him a way to put burn on people. So that's cool. It is only for 3 turns though. So I would imagine for Dondo Alter specifically, you would like to consider running him with command codes, burn command codes. So in that sense, I think he's very similar to Yang Yuan, right? Because like when his second skill is off cooldown, he no longer has access to his inflict burn on attack, which means that if he still wants to keep up his MP's damage output with the anti-burn bonus damage, you would want to give him burn CCs, at least on some of his cards, and the other cards you can put, like, I don't know, extra crit damage CCs, so he can crit even harder, I guess. Yeah, I feel like I feel like that's how you would build him, at least as far as command cards go. So yeah, I like him. I like Dondo Alter. I like what I'm seeing here. He has a very clear. I feel like he has a very clear game plan. And honestly, it feels like even though their kits are slightly different, they have their nuances. It does overall feel like Dondo Alter is basically OG Dondo, but with a single target MP. Which, yeah, I'm down for. I don't mind. So yeah, I think that's about it for Dondo Alter. Very cool. I like his first Ascension art. I vibe with that. And yeah, very good single target servant. And yeah, I really like the 500% chance of stun. This one's really nice. I'll admit. This one's a banger. So yeah, overall dub for Dondo Alter. I don't think he does anything particularly unique, but he seems like a very solid like boss killer / solo servant. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in action when JP players put up videos of him just absolutely massacring enemy boss servants, or like single target boss servants. So yeah. Anyways, moving on to Cagliostro. Again, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. First of all, holy shit, this motherfucker's jacked. Dude, even his sprite is fucking jacked AF. Look at it, look at his fucking biceps. Hell yeah. Motherfucker be hitting the gym. That's for sure. I really like his final ascension too. This is pretty cool. But yeah, he's pretty fucking cool already. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw Cagliostro, I thought it was a 5-star. Because he has the art of a 5-star, if I'm be honest. So I was kind of surprised and honestly almost a little disappointed that he's only a 4-star. Not only that, but he's a fucking limited 4-star, so not limited, story locked 4-star, so it's like, yeah. But whatever, we got a new pretender. How many pretenders does that make it actually? How many pretenders do we have in the game? Oh, 7. Oh, we have more than we thought, or we have more than I thought. I didn't realize JP had this many, because NA still only has 2, and obviously we'll be getting Lady Avalon, I think, whoever the fuck this shit is, the lolly Liz, whoever she is. I think we'll be getting her later this year for our Halloween event later. Is the Halloween? Did she come for Halloween? I don't even know. I don't fucking remember. I don't fucking remember. But yeah, we'll be getting Lady Avalon later this year at least. Looking forward to her. Anyways, take a look at that later. So yeah, another our latest 4-star pretender, and overall pretender too. He also has pretty high attack too, because 4 stars. If you have 10,000 attack as a 4-star, that's really high. Like that's top tier attack rating for a 4-star. So the fact that Cagliostro has 9,600, that's really good actually. Really good, along with 11,000 HP. I mean, considering Dondo alters a 5-star and he only barely has he doesn't even have 12,000 HP. I feel like Cagliostro also has pretty high HP too for a 4-star. No, am I tripping on that? So like, I think Cagliostro is absolutely goated in the stats department. Like high attack and high HP for a 4-star. Maybe 4-stars do have more HP than that. I'm sure there are 4-star servants out there who have like, I don't know, 12,000 HP. 12,000, maybe even 13,000 HP. Actually, yeah, because I think Siegfried has 13,000 HP, or he reaches 13,000 HP by default at like level 80 or something. So I suppose I can't say Cagliostro's HP here is that high, but like he almost has as much health as Dondo Alter, so it's like, anyways. But looks like his stats are decent. At least his attack rating is. And then let's see. MP charge attack is only 0.41, but he has an arts deck, so understandable. Chaotic neutral. Chaotic neutral with a face like that. Let's see. 5-hit quick, 3-hit arts, 4-hit buster, 5-hit extra with the almost said lancer deck with an arts deck, caster deck. Okay. Let's see. First skill. Going to his skills here. He also has his own 50% battery on a 4-star too. Wow, that's pretty good. Because, like, 5-stars having 50% batteries is like, yeah, whatever. Because, like, Lazango is just throwing them out to people like candy nowadays. I mean, they have been for, like, the past year or so. But for a 4-star to have a 50 battery, that's interesting. Because they don't do it all the time, obviously. Like, the most amount of battery that most 4-star servants get, I feel, is, like, 30%, right? 30% is pretty standard. So Cagliostro having 50 is noteworthy, as a 4-star especially. So that's cool. Increases on MP damage for 3 turns, 30% MP damage buff on top of that too. Wow, they really must like Cagliostro, huh? Already. And he inflicts confusion. Okay, odd that he has confusion. So his confusion is skill seal, or chance to activate skill seal every turn for 3 turns. On a 9 to 7 turn cooldown. I kind of wish they separated the confusion buff, or the confusion debuff onto something else, like to another skill. But then again, a second skill has an absurdly high cooldown, and not too sure how much people would like. I don't know if it would have been a great idea to put the confusion effect on his 3rd skill. And I think we would prefer that though, because obviously having his charge skill on a lower cooldown would be nice, or would be preferable, I think. I feel like anyway. But yeah, this is how it is for now anyway. Or this is how it is. Confusion, 50% battery, and then 3 turn 30% MP damage buff. So overall very cool. Or obviously I like the battery and the MP damage buff. The confusion, not too sure. Let's see what he makes of it. Or let's see how he actually uses it, if he does at all. Because, like, most of the people who have confusion is like, okay, it's kind of like just there. Like, I think, who has confusion anyway? Does, what's his motherfucker's name? Doesn't Caster Guild Array have confusion? Or am I confusing his ass for somebody else? Like, I know Kotaro, the 3-star assassin, I know Kotaro has confusion. But he doesn't really do anything with it. I don't think. It's just kind of there. As part of like his suite of like random ass debuffs that he gives to that he puts on enemies, because like that's kind of his thing, right? A debuffer, utility assassin. So, but like nobody really uses confusion, so it's like, okay, they gave Cagliostro's ass confusion too. It's like where are they trying to take this? Where are they going with this, Willis? Anyway, second skill is grant self guts for 1 time 5 turns. Grant self on guts activate buff for 1 time 5 turns. Okay. And he gets another 30% charge when he uses his guts. Okay. And he also increases MP gen for 5 turns. I mean, I would hope so, considering this is on a 12 to 10 turn cooldown. But his guts revives him with 5,000 to 10,000 HP. Oh my fucking god. They did it, chat. Chat, I'm not even recording this live. Ooh, parasocial. They finally fucking did it, though. Holy fuck. They actually got a guts buff right for once. Because the biggest problem I felt like with guts buffs in FGO was that they only gave you, like, a little bit of HP. Right? A ton of buffs, a ton of guts buffs out there are like, oh, you revive with 1 HP. It's like, okay. Well, I mean, a lot of the time, to be fair, a lot of the time, like, oftentimes, like, just one more turn is all you need to finish a fight, to be fair. Right? And, like, for example, like, the event damage CEs, right, that you find during, like, lottery events and stuff that revive you with 1 HP, that it gives you a 1 stack of perma guts that can't be removed. And revives you with 1 HP. Yeah, that's fine, right? Like, I don't mind, like, CEs having guts that give you basically the second chance, but you have only 1 HP, so you gotta make it count. I don't mind that. But, like, for servants to have guts buffs in their own kit, and it only revives them with, like, 1 HP, or, like, oh, it scaled, the HP you get back after reviving, it scales from only 1,000 to 3,000 HP. Like, I've always thought that was kind of bullshit, I'm not gonna lie. Because, like, what's the most of the time, obviously there are times when it can matter, like all you need is just one more chance and again you can finish the fight, but like in like a lot of the time I feel like in solo situations it's like I feel like guts buffs should be like a solid second chance where it's like, okay, you're back in there with like full HP or something, right? Something like that. I felt like those kinds of guts buffs would have been much more effective. So it's really good to see that this motherfucker actually has a guts buff that's worth using, or that's worth like that's actually kind of like how I envisioned guts buffs to begin with. If that makes any sense. I don't know. I'm rambling here at this point. Because yeah, at this point, if it gives him 10,000 HP, I don't know what the fuck I just clicked. Hopefully that didn't come up on the recording. I don't think it did, thankfully. Let's see. Yeah, by the time you max his skill, I mean, hell, even if it's only at level 90, if it's only at level 9, it gives him the majority of his health back. Because again, he only has like 11,000 HP, and so if his second skill is maxed out, he's almost getting all his health back. So this guts is amazing. Like, I actually almost don't even mind that this shit is on a 12 to fucking 10 turn cooldown. Almost. I still think that this should be like not this long. Like, I think this should only be a 10 to 8 turn cooldown. I mean, ideally, I would like it to be a 9 to 7 turn cooldown. But yeah, like 10 to 8 turn cooldown would be nice. But like at the very least, he gets a shit ton of health back. And so again, that is fucking amazing, at least in my opinion. And he gets even more charge when his guts is activated. So that's cool, I guess. Whenever that actually, you know, comes into play. Honestly, I think his MP generation rate buff is gonna come into play the most often, obviously, because it's an MP gen buff, and he's an an arts servant with a caster deck. So, yeah. We'll probably use the second skill for his MP gen buff most of the time. But still, it is very cool that he has an Omega Guts buff that, like, revives him with almost full HP. This is very, very cool. And when it does come into play, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure you will appreciate it a lot when you do have to rely on it. So, yeah, that's very cool. I like it. And the third skill, 8 to 6 turn cooldown, standard color buff here. Let's see, he has an MP damage buff and then arts buff, but no attack buff. Okay. Because I think Dondo Alter had color buffs and attack buff, but no NP damage buff, I don't think. So if you run in with the team, you want to give Dondo Alter MP damage buffs, which at this point I'm sure we have plenty of. But Cagliostro has a color buff, 3-turn arts buff, 30%. That's good. And MP damage buff 30% as well, but no color, no charisma. Again, that doesn't matter because again, Castoria exists, so you know, whoop-de-doo, missing a charisma. Oh yeah, that's such a big deal. Haha, not. Anyways, art 30% color buff, good. Also 30% crit damage buff, interesting. I don't know why they gave him that. Grants self debuff on attack buff for 3 turns. Inflicts buff success reduction or buff success debuff by 10% for 1 turn to target when normal attacking. Okay, I think I'm starting to see what this motherfucker does, because technically I think I'll give my take, my overall take on him afterwards. But I think I'm starting to piece together what this dude is supposed to do, or like what Losangle intends for this motherfucker to do. And I'm gonna say, I have to say, it's extremely interesting. I don't know how well this will turn out. Like I don't know how well Cagliostro will end up actually being at his, like how well he actually ends up doing his job. If, you know, he plays the way I think he does. But still, at the very least, it's a very interesting kit he has already. I just don't know where he's going to use his crit damage, but I guess maybe we'll see later. Let's see. Looks like he's got some very interesting passives at least, so let's take a look. First passive, increases his own star gen of arts cards by 30%. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting, because those of you who are not aware, arts cards by default do not generate stars. They're coded in the game to have 0% star gen. That's kind of like their weakness, if you can even call it that. The fact that they do not generate any stars, to make up for the fact that they are really good at generating MP charge, obviously. The reason why sometimes arts cards can still generate stars every now and then, in case you've noticed, like, oh, but like I've seen my characters generate stars from their arts cards every once in a while. So it's not impossible. Yes, it's technically not impossible because of, you know, their class star gen, because the game takes this into account. But if you were to set a servant's class star gen to 0, then yeah, they would functionally, without any other external buffs, it would be functionally impossible for them to generate stars off their arts cards. And I'm pretty sure Pretenders, it feels like Pretenders have the second highest star gen, and the star gen, like, stat in the game, like as far as class star gen goes, because Assassins have, what is it, let's check. Assassins should have like 25% or something, right? Something like that, maybe 30? No, they have 25%, yeah. And like most other classes in the game, like, don't have very high base star gen. Yeah, like Sabers only have 10%. Let's see what Archers have. Archers only have 8%. Lancers have 12%. Whoop-de-doo. Riders have 9%. Casters have 11. Berserkers only have 5, which makes sense. Rulers 10%. Avengers only 6. Moon Cancers 15, so they have higher than average. Alter Egos standard 10%. Foreigners 15% higher than average. Makes sense because they have higher than average class star weight as well. And then, well, Shielder is just MASH. So yeah, Pretenders have the second highest class star gen in the game, only after Assassins at 20%. So that is interesting, because you combine his class star gen, Cagliostro's class star gen of basically 20%, with his passive. That means that his arts cards have a base 50% chance to generate stars. So he's an art star gen, pretty much. And I believe he has, yeah, an AoE and arts NP. So he's an art star gen, basically, without a star gen, not without a star bomb. Which, I mean, it would be better if he had one, but at least his NP feels like it can generate stars. And the hit counts aren't very high though, because only 4 hits though. So I don't know how many stars he's really going to be generating. So actually I don't know how impactful this will end up being. It is a very interesting concept, though, I will say. Excuse me. Sniffles. Very interesting concept. Yeah. And I assume that arts performance buffs also, like, technically increase the star generation capacity of arts cards too, if I'm not mistaken, right? I believe so anyway. Hopefully it applies. Maybe it doesn't actually. I don't know. I don't know how the game takes like star gen from color buffs into account. But I mean, you know, it works for quick cards obviously, so it should work for everything else. In any case, let's see. So yeah, 30% arts card star gen buff as a passive. Again, very interesting. Just not sure how well that works in theory or in practice. And then a little bit of debuff resist. That's nice. It's only 10%, but you know, some better than none. Let's see. Matter casting increases his own debuff success rate, and I believe he has, yeah, because he has his debuff success debuff. Phone going off. So yeah, obviously this is very important for him. Does he have any other? Oh yeah, and of course his confusion status. So let's see. Yeah, the debuff success rate buff is very important. Helps him deal with at least a little bit of a part of a lot of Servants' magic resist, obviously. And then increases his own buff removal resist by 10%. That's cute. Cute, I guess. And then let's see. Increases his own crit damage of arts cards by 10%. Okay, cute. Stacks with his regular crit damage buff from his third skill. Alright. Seems like he also has his own anti-Avenger. I guess this event basically gave us servants who really hate Avengers. So that's kind of funny to think about. And of course his NP. AoE arts with 4 hits. Removes all enemies' defensive buffs. Okay. Cool. Doesn't remove enemy guts though. Because guts is not considered a defensive buff, I don't think. Because yeah, it's not listed here. But still, very good. Deals damage to them, and then reduces their defense by 20% for 3 turns afterwards. Okay. And then he has a super effective mod against lawful enemies specifically. Okay. Interesting. And then looking at his max bond CE. Increases party's damage against enemies with lawful by 20% when he's on the field. Not too sure how relevant that'll be, because it's not like he's not a support. Yeah, no, he's not a support. He's more utility, because he doesn't have any party buffs, obviously, but he definitely has utility. With what is it? With the remove enemies' defensive buffs and then reduce their defense by 20% for 3 turns. So he definitely feels like a sort of servant where he's an MP leadoff utility. Like he's a MP leadoff bot. I was gonna say another word, but maybe that other word is not very appropriate for YouTube. But yeah, he's basically an MP leadoff bot because it feels perfectly tailored for that. And then you put in you slot in your stronger MPs after him, something like that. So okay. So my overall take of him is that he's supposed to be, like I said, a utility arts servant, where his game plan is to, quote, support your team by denying enemies of buffs and skills, right? Because you haven't put confusion, and then hopefully it activates it locks their skills out so they can't use skills. And when they do use skills, use his third skill to attack enemies with. And then you spam buff success debuffs on them, so that way when they try to buff themselves, they have a chance of not getting their buffs, right? Something like that. That's kind of what I feel like his game plan is. Yeah. And that's really interesting because I don't think we've had a servant like this before. Or a kit that quite works like this. Or that's quite intended like this. Right? Where you're actively trying to deny enemies of buffs. Right? Because most of the time, whenever we see this mechanic, like, it's the enemy, it's like the enemy bosses doing that shit to us, right? Oh, you can't use your buffs, blah, blah, blah. So finally, we get a servant where we get to do that to enemies, like, ha, you know, have a taste of your own medicine kind of shit, right? Fucking Uno reverse card sort of memes. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know how effective that will end up being, because, like, the thing, like, I've never thought very highly of skill seals. Because the thing with skill seals in FGO is that, like, sometimes you want enemies to use their skills because that means that they waste a turn using a skill. Because that means that they're not attacking you, right? Because the way FGO works is that your servants, in comparison to the enemies, don't have that much HP. So HP is very much so a concern in, like, endgame fights or, like, boss battles or something, right? Especially in solo fights. And not only that, but enemies have a limited set of actions, right? They only have 3 actions total. Like, sure, they can spam their skills however much they want, but they can only use 3 actions. And they have to pick between using a skill or attacking you. So if they use a skill, that means they're not attacking you, which means that that can potentially buy you another turn where your servant doesn't need to worry about getting killed, right? So I've always been very iffy on skill seals. Obviously, they do have a place, right? Especially if servants have, like, very annoying skills that you would rather not deal with. So, like, skill sealing them does make sense in those situations, but not all the time, right? So, So him having confusion is kind of it can be hit or miss. I guess it depends on who you ask, and how much they value, like, skill seals, I guess. But I mean, why give him confusion when you could have probably just given, like, I don't know, skill seal for a turn, right? Just directly just say, oh, I'm sealing your skills, kind of like what Benkei does, right? So, not only that, but this is RNG, so you don't know when it's gonna go off, which also sucks. So yeah, the better mechanic here, or his better piece of utility here, is the buff success debuff that he has on, what is it, that he has here, where, yeah, if he extra attacks, if he brave chains, then you're talking, and all of his debuff success buffs go through, or buff success debuffs go through, sorry, mixing up my words here again. That means he can inflict up to a 40% buff success debuff, which is very significant. That's no joke. But he has the Brave Chain to do that, and it only lasts for 1 turn. Like, I think this would have been much better if this buff lasts for 2 turns, because this dude doesn't really feel like a solo servant. Like, sure, he has the 10k guts, right? So I suppose that counts for something. But he has an AoE MP. So unless you plan on, like, running him solo against an AoE situation, I don't know how well that would work. Maybe it could work. I don't know. Maybe soloing with him could work, actually. Considering, like, if he's always putting a 40% buff success debuff on people's asses against single target enemies, then like if he just denies enemy skills all day long, then it's like, you know, what can they really do, right? And especially because he's a pretender, and pretenders are good against, I think, alter egos it was. Let's see, class advantage, disadvantage, yeah, against alter egos, yeah. So I suppose if you're trying to go up against an alter ego boss, which we have several times, maybe he could work. It's just that he doesn't have a single target MP, so it's like, well, like, you know, if you want to solo with him, then, you know, best of luck, Chief. You'll need it. So, yeah. Again, interesting kit. Just, I don't know how well it'll perform in practice, right? Not only that, but again, another aspect of his like kit of him, interesting aspect of his kit. Sorry, English is hard. Is his arts card star gen, right? Which is supposed to stack with his class star gen for a total of 50%, but like it's only 50%, and it's not like his arts cards have that high of hit counts. Neither does his NP either, at only 4. So I don't know how many stars he's really going to be generating here. Not only that, but, you know, again, he doesn't have, like, his own star weight buff like, you know, Dondo Alter has. And, let's see, yeah, and Pretenders have average star weights, so it's like, whatever. Like, good luck getting stars, I guess. So, yeah, I feel like Cagliostro is, like, the manifestation of mechanics that Lozingo is trying to experiment with, but it's like I don't know how well this is executed. Yeah, I'm just not too sure about this one, Chief. Interesting kit on paper, questionable execution and actual practical performance. I would have to see what other people think of him. And I am kind of interested to see what they think of his ass, of Cagliostro. I mean, at the very least, if you can use it against lawful servants, right? Because super effective mod. So it's worth something, I guess. But again, Pretenders, so, you know. Good luck hitting a class advantage that's not against Berserkers, right? So, I mean, he does at least have his own MP damage buff. And his own arts buff. So, and he's got decent attack rating. Pretty good attack rating, actually. So, he at least, you know, if you really want to, he could pump out some damage, I'm sure. He also should be able to arts loop, right? Because 4 hit, and he has his own MP generation rate buff for 5 turns, so that's more than enough. 30% too. And that should stack with his arts buff as well. So yeah, like, he should at least be able to arts loop if nothing else. Which is, in and of itself, that's already a very big perk because he's only a 4-star as well. 4-star, with his own 50% battery, with the ability to arts loop, I mean, still decent, right? At least I would think so. But like, outside of the arts looping, in terms of actual utility, like, I don't know, this one's kind of, for me, this one's kind of a hard sell. Yeah. So not too sure about this one, Chief. Maybe now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm trying to think in situations where I would like to use him, right? Like how arts looping, how like an arts team with Cagliostro in it would work against a potential boss fight. Now that I think about it, there are times where, like, obviously if you get bad card RNG, right, and it's a lot of time, obviously. Like, you get, like, all your support cards, right? And a lot of time you're like, well, I don't want my support cards, I want my DPS cards, right? So that way I can give them more charge, right? Arts chaining and all that. So in those situations, I suppose it's kind of a silver lining, where it's like, well, in a situation where you probably would have felt like you couldn't really do anything with your support cards, now what you can do if you have Cagliostro is if you happen to get a lot of Cagliostro cards, you know, you can pop a start skill and then inflict like a 40%, you know, buff success debuff on an enemy, and they just kind of have to hold that for at least 1 turn anyway. Again, I think it would have been much better if it were 2 turns, not just 1 turn. But I mean, then again, though, in an arts team, it's like, why would you want to bring Cagliostro instead of, like, Tamacaster or Castoria, you know? So, I don't know. I hope on practice people are able to figure something out with them, but as it stands, just looking at him theoretically and just trying to run through, like, theoretical scenarios in my head, I don't know, man. Again, I can only relegate him to interesting, but, like, questionable execution, or, like, questionable performance. But again, at least he has arts looping, or at least he should have arts looping to fall back on, if nothing else. So, again, looking forward to seeing what people can figure out with this dude. Okay, and then now we've gone over the 2 new servants from the JP event. And I already went over Murray Alter from the previous video as well. Let's take a look at some servant buffs, because I believe these are all the buffs that have come out for this year, I think. Yeah, for 2024. I think I've seen all the buffs for 2023. I just haven't seen all the buffs for 2024. Been kind of out of loop with this one. So yeah, let's take a look. Musashi. Actually, no, that's the wrong tab. Let's click on this one, maybe? This banner? Yeah, okay. So for this one, looks like Summer Musashi got an MP buff. So obviously more damage. But more importantly, super hyper effective damage. Not even super effective, hyper effective damage. I'll coin that one. I'll coin that one, guys. In case nobody's come up with that term yet. 200% super effective mod, so again, hyper effective damage against saber classes in particular. Okay, wow. This is a great buff, in my opinion anyway, because this gives you a reason to actually go back and use Musashi, right? Because ever since Summer Ibuki Doji came out, right? She's now the best art slipper in the game, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. So the fact that they gave Musashi an MP buff means that they still want you to use Summer Musashi, because I don't think Ibuki Doji Summer Ibuki has an MP damage buff yet, right? If I'm not mistaken. So now now there is a reason to use Summer Musashi, because she does more damage, or at least she should, because MP damage buff, and she does hyper effective damage against sabers. This is a very cool buff. Until, of course, they give, Summer Ibuki an even better MP damage buff, which will definitely happen, I'm sure. But yeah, until then, yeah, this is a very rad, this is a very, I should do this, very rad buff here for, Summer Musashi. I like it, yeah, because it gives you a reason to actually use her ass over, Summer Ibuki, at least situationally, right? If you really need to kill a saber class servant out there somewhere. So, yeah, very, very cool buff. I like this. I like this a lot. We'll see how long Summer Musashi has that edge over Summer Ibuki though. Anyways, next up is Ereshigal's NP buff. I think I heard of this one. Yeah, I should have. Yeah, because we've known about. Haven't we known about Ereshigal's NP damage buff for a while? I feel like we've known about this for a while. Like, not like over a year. I'm talking like over a year. Am I just hallucinating? Yeah, I probably am. Whatever. Anyways, actually no, it's not even an MP damage buff. Yeah, I am thinking about her MP damage buff correctly. This isn't even her MP damage buff. This is a skill buff. So my bad. Yeah. I was looking at this being like, oh, is this her MP damage buff? No, it's a fucking skill buff, dumbass. Anyways, so yeah, her MP buff was like a year or 2 ago, I think. This is her. Which skill was this again? Was this her second skill? Something like that. It's either her first or second skill. Whatever. Anyways, let's see. Okay, let's see. So the original gives her debuff, 1-turn debuff immunity, 1-turn insta kill immunity, debuff for success removal, and then invul. Okay. So her hard defense skill, along with a good chunk of a decent chunk of utility. I mean, this is actually really good utility. But now, let's see. The wiki says this effect got buffed. Well, where's the buff? Isn't this the exact? Oh no, it's a chance. Okay, so I'm assuming they increased the chance. Yeah, they did. Now at max level, it's guaranteed. Woo! Thank fucking God. Thank the fucking Lord, man. Holy shit. Cause yeah, I remember this back when I used used Ereshigal a lot for like farming, but then again, we never used her second skill for farming, or we never used the skill for farming, obviously. But yeah, now I remember this was a fucking RNG skill. Holy fucking shit! But now they've buffed it so that at max level at least it's guaranteed. Oh, thank God, thank fucking God. Okay, so that's good. Everything is guaranteed at max level now. And most of us have max skilled Erishes anyways, so yeah. Thank fucking God, bro. Can't say that enough. Okay, and then her invul is still there, and then finally she also gets a skill cooldown reduction for 1 turn. That's nice. How long were her also, why are her tabs green? How long? Okay, and it's her first skill too. Her second skill, 8 to 6 turns. Okay, so reduces it down to 7 to 5 essentially. And then third skill. Okay, so she has 8 to 6 turn CDs across the board. So this means that it'll make her other skills 7 to 5 turn CDs instead. That's good. That's decent. It's okay. Yeah. At least I would say so. Let's see here. Yeah, overall it's nice because she gets her battery back faster, along with her obviously her 50% buster buff, and obviously her third skill has a lot of utility, obviously party utility, party support / utility sort of thing. So the fact that she can get this faster too is also very nice. Okay, overall pretty cool buff. It's just that personally, I just love the fact that they now give you the ability to remove the RNG from her own self utilities. So, thank fucking God, bro. Fuck RNG skills in FGO. Fucking, they can all fucking die in a fire for all I care. Murder them all. Murder all the RNG skills. All right, next up is Jalter Lily, or Santa Jalter. Let's see. It looks like they buffed her NP. Okay, that's cool. Because she's a welfare, so obviously most people should have her. If they have her, they should have her at MP5. So her getting an MP damage buff is very significant. Reduces their debuff resist by 10% for 3 turns. Okay, cute. And most importantly, her overcharge of increasing party's attack and party's healing received is extended from, I believe, only 1 turn. Yeah, 1 turn to 3 turns. Hey, we actually have her overcharge is actually useful now. I mean, it's still only 10% attack, but like at least it's something, right? At least it didn't fucking expire the same goddamn turn that Jalter Lily uses her NP. Holy fuck, dude. So yeah, overall decent buff. It's a cute buff. So I guess if you use Jalter Lily a lot for something, then you know. Rejoice, Yorokobe, Jalter enjoyers, I guess, or Jalter Lily enjoyers, my fellow senseis. Anyways, so yeah, 10 to 30%, cool. And then we've got a what is a Santa altar? Yeah, we call it Santa altar, I think. Santa altar skill, where it replaces her instinct. Yay! Death to all instinct skills. So we have yet another instinct skill dead and buried. We have killed it. Or La Zingle has killed it. Is that the last instinct skill in the game that need to be killed? Cause if now that Santa Altar has had her instinct replaced now, or buffed, like, is there anybody else in the game that still needs, like, their instinct buffed? Because there should, if there are any left at all, there shouldn't be that many left anymore. Like, maybe 1 or 2? I don't know. But, yeah, thank God we have another instinct skill dead and buried. And let's see how they buffed it. Party 10% charge. Cute. More importantly, though, overcharges party's MP stage by 1 for 1 time 3 turns. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty cool, yeah. Increases party's crit damage for 3 turns by only 10 to 20%. Cute, but I suppose it's better than nothing. And gains crit stars from 20 to 30. Wow, they gave a 30 star bomb to a goddamn welfare servant. Holy fucking shit. Too bad it's on Santa Altar and she's a writer, so she's hogging all those stars for herself. But still, very cool that they gave Santa Altar a 30 star bomb. That's pretty fucking crazy. And only on a 7 to 5 turn CD as well. I mean, her other effects are not that great. I mean, obviously the OC, the +1 OC is really nice. depending on what team you're using her in. But yeah. But yeah, another instinct skill, dead and buried at the very least. So, cool buff. And then Murasaki's, I believe this is her third skill. Looks like she's gotten her third skill buffed. And then, let's see, they didn't change the initial effects, but they just added extra party damage against chaotic and good enemies. Okay, so an additional 30% power mod. This is very good. Yeah. I feel like the chaotic damage will synergize with demonic, because Murasaki gives your party a power mod against demonic enemies. So now she's giving you an additional power mod against chaotic and good. Kind of reminds me of Benny Enma's NP actually, where on Benny Enma's NP she deals extra power mod damage against a chaotic and evil or something like that. It kind of reminds me of that, but it's a party buff, so it's technically even better here. So yeah, I like this buff. Just gives caster Murasaki even more what is it? Utility, right? Or even more support. So very cool, very cool. All right, next up is Seishonagon. This is her evasion skill. Okay, looks like the evade itself didn't change. Still 3 hit 3 turns, but the crit damage changes from 3 hits 3 turns to just 3 turns. Okay, very good. Because yeah, obviously Seishonagon can crit a lot because she's a quick servant. So yeah, just having it just flat 3 turns is quite nice. And she even gets an additional 20 to 30% battery. Yay! So now she should have a proper 50% battery between her first skill, or whatever her first skill is. Oh, not first skill, sorry. Her second skill. And her third skill, yeah. Because her third skill gives her 20% charge. And now her third skill gives 30% charge. Or third skill gives her 20, and then second skill gives her 30. And then on top of that, her first skill gives gives her entire front line 10% party charge regen. So that's very cool. So yeah, who is it? Seishonagon should be charging herself out the ass, basically. More or less. So yeah, she now effectively has her own 50% battery. That's very cool. So hopefully that has, good implications for quick looping. Hopefully anyway. Assuming any of you guys are even quick looping in 2024. But hey, I sometimes still quick loop whenever I feel like it's appropriate, so maybe there are people out there still quick looping. Alright, next up is Brad's NP, or not NP. Which skill was this again? Third skill? I think this was her third skill, right? So third skill buff. Improves her MP charge from 20 to 30. Nice. She has a targetable 30% battery now instead of just 20. Very cool. Still has the debuff cleanse effect. Very nice. But in addition, because I believe her old skill only did these first 2 effects, but now she has, let's see, she now increases her own damage against self anti-earth power mod. Very cool. And she gives herself her own MP generation rate buff. Okay, so she's even better at quick looping now. I wonder if this means that she's now consistent at quick looping, because I remember back in the day, back when we first when Brad first came out, how many years ago was this? A year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. I remember people said that Brad could basically only loop on her own with no other support in her own event, only because she had the extra bonus damage. I wonder if this buff means that Brad can now loop on her own now without too much external support, or maybe she still needs a little bit more support, or she needs a little bit more help. Because yeah, not only does she get her own MP gen buff, but she also gets her battery also improves too. So yeah, hopefully this means Brad can sufficiently loop on her own, or becomes a top tier quick looper, for what that's worth. So And not only that, the extra anti-earth power mod is obviously useful when it counts. Very nice to have. Charlemagne. I do not know what the fuck Charlemagne does. I think I have a general rough idea, but like, yeah, isn't he just like basically a glorified quick wave clear or some shit? Anyways. So his base skill that they buffed was Traveling the Path of the King. I think this skill means he can give an ally 2-hit invul for 3 turns. But as long as he doesn't use it on himself, he gains an MP generation rate buff, and he gets a buff when taking damage, where he gives himself this extra Heroic King stack or buff or whatever that's exclusive to his MP. Something like that. But then if he gives himself invul, if he gives himself his own invul, that means that he can't use his MP, which sucks. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why they felt the need to give him that. Oh, I need to go back. So yeah, that's kind of weird. So how did they buff this? Now he has a buff on attack. Okay, so now he can give himself Heroic King stacks when he attacks, and not just him taking damage. Yeah, this is how it should have been from the beginning. What the fuck? Like, are you fucking kidding me? They didn't do this from the start? Holy fucking shit, Losangle. God damn. Your fucking stupidity amazes me. I was gonna say sometimes, but it amazes me all the time. But I mean, hey, at least they fucking corrected that. And it looks like he gives himself some more stars. I mean, what the fucking do? Does he have his own, like, star weight buff, at least? Does he have one? No, but he does have a crit damage buff. Ugh. I don't know about this one, Chief. I mean, it's nice that he has, like, a way to trigger his own condition, right? His own conditional stacks, now, but... I'm not even sure if people even use Charlemagne. I haven't heard people talk about Charlemagne ever since it came out. So I don't know, man. Maybe this buff is too little, too late. It certainly feels that way to me. But I suppose if you use Charlemagne a lot, then I suppose this buff is actually really good. Because, yeah, it does give him a way to trigger his own this extra bonus MP damage condition. So, I suppose I'll take it for what it is, but overall not terribly impressed with Charlemagne's buff. And then finally, we're up to our last 3. Jalter, oh, I know this one, I think. Jalter's should be, actually, no, this is her NP. And we already know about that one. Where is her second one? Was it this one? Yeah. Yeah, so now it looks like they buffed her Buster buff. And literally all they did was give her a 50% battery. Yes, the classic Losangle Billy Mays strat. Just slap a 50% battery on them. That'll fix the issue. I mean, to be fair, everybody would love, you know... you get a 50% battery, and you get a 50% battery, and you get a 50% battery. Like, obviously, 50% batteries are extremely powerful in FGO. It's just, you know, I kind of wish Losangle wouldn't just give a 50% battery and like do something else on top of that. But oh well, I suppose we'll take what we can get. So, but yeah, this skill now reminds me of like Ereshkigal's skill, kind of. Because Ereshkigal's second skill gives her not only the mana burst, but also the invul as well. Or the 50% charge. So, seems like that's the case for Jalter as well. I would have much preferred if they gave this charge to her first skill instead, right? Yeah, her Jalter's own self-modification skill. Because I believe that's her first skill. Yeah, I would have preferred them giving if they had given the battery to her first skill. Because at least if she used her first skill, because the effects are both for 3 turns, it's not like you're wasting the crit damage buff and the star weight buff too, right? Because you have a window of opportunity to use them or put them to use at least. Whereas with this, now that you're putting the battery on Jalter's Buster, like her 1-turn mana burst and her invul skill, it's like, well, shit. Like, now this skill is really, really fucking loaded. So, I mean, it was already loaded anyway, just because it already had the mana burst and the invul together on the same skill anyway. So the fact that you're giving it, you're now giving it 50% battery probably doesn't really change much, but much of anything. But yeah, again, it still would have been better if they had given the motherfucking battery to her first skill or something. Either her first skill or second skill or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, at least she has a 50% battery now, so yeah. Go crazy, Jalter fans. And then here's John's buff here. And this should replace her Revelation skill, which is the star regen skill that she has. I think it's her first skill. So now she has a party arts buff for 3 turns, 10 to 20%. Holy fucking shit, that's actually amazing. And she charge the party's MP gauge. Holy fucking shit, this is an amazing buff. At least you know, the arts memer and me loves this buff already. And they buffed her star regen skill that now she generates 5 to 15 stars. 'Cause I think before, originally, it only generates like 3 to 9. Yeah, 3 to 9 stars. How the fuck did I know this? Holy fucking shit, bro. No, this is an amazing buff, because now, if you look at Jean's entire kit now, right? Because now they've buffed her NP, right? Well, she's had her NP buff for God knows how long. Like, didn't she get this buff like in like year 2 or something like that? Something like that, right? But they also buffed her. Yeah, they buffed her second skill more recently. I think like last year or maybe 2 years ago. This one was a much more recent buff, and usually this was a very, very useless skill, because yeah, reduce servant's MP damage by 30%. Oh yeah, that's gonna do anything. At least not on its own. But they buffed this one too, where now she has a double defense debuff. That's really good. Where they take a 50% defense debuff for 1 turn. And they still have a 30% defense debuff for another 2 turns afterwards. That's amazing. The only problem is that's a debuff, so you know, enemies can still, you know, resist it. So that's not ideal, but at least it's something. But now her first skill is absolutely amazing. So now she's very firmly entrenched into arts teams, right? Excuse me. Because now with their first skill, I think that, speaking as an arts memer, I think now Jean is a very viable art support, right? Because you combine this with their second skill buff, with her NP that cleanses debuffs, increases your party defense, which is nice, because it does last for 3 turns. So it helps with sustain. And it's a party invul skill at the same time, and it has party HP regen. Like, yeah, this now Jean has it only took her 9 years to do this, but now she's finally become a viable art support. Finally. Hallelujah. Thank the Lord. Now let me go pay my indulgences to the Catholic Church like it's fucking, you know, the 1400s all over again. But yeah, a great first skill buff. Now all they need to do is buff a third skill and we'll be Gucci. And hopefully they do that at some point. But yeah, she's really good. John has really come into her own now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And of course the Jeans have their have their animation updates as well. I'm sure everybody appreciates that. So both of these buffs are technically very good. It's just John's buff is way more exciting for me than Jalter's is, obviously. And finally, we have Kagetora's, or I like to call her Kenshin, because it's basically Uesugi Kenshin, just younger. Kenshin's buff. Actually, no, technically we already have Kenshin, don't we? Because the 5-star Kenshin. Let's see, Nagao, Kagetora. Yeah, Uesugi Kenshin. Yeah, we actually do have Kenshin now in the game. Yeah, because this is the proper Uesugi Kenshin, and then Nagao is just the younger Uesugi Kenshin. Gotta love Nasuverse lore, right? Anyways, Welfare Kenshin. Now, oh yeah, so now they buffed her arts buff, because originally her arts buff was only for 1 turn, and it was only a 30% arts buff. So it's like, yeah, uses with her MP and, you know, have at it. But now, they made it a 3-turn buff, thank God. 3-turn arts buff, much better. Unfortunately, the Starlight buff is only for 1 turn, though, but that's fine. And she gets a free 20% battery. Okay, cute buff. But the biggest buff is definitely, I think, the 3-turn arts buff. 20% can be useful too, I'm sure. Yeah. It could certainly be useful. It's just, I hesitate to call it, like, a really good buff, because, again, remember that Nagao is a welfare, so you don't have that many coins for her. But I suppose if you're going to use coins for her, you might as well unlock her first append. Or not first, second append, sorry. So, could mean something, I guess. But, yeah, I'm just really glad that her arts buff is now for 3 turns, because honestly, it should have always been for 3 turns. What the fuck was Los Angeles smoking when they first made this go? Oh, arts performance for 1 turn on a 20 to 30% efficiency? Like, yeah, no, go fuck yourself. And it seems like they did, because they finally took the hint, and they gave her a 3-turn 20 to 30% arts buff. Yeah, that's how it should have always been. So, justice has been served, if you even want to call it that, anyway. Okay, I think that's about it for the JP news roundup analysis. Again, another clean almost hour and 20-minute video. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed my quote-unquote bad takes on JP servants and the recent buffs lately. So yeah, just gonna go over it real quick. Dondo Altar, very cool, potentially very top tier solo and boss killer servant. Looking forward to watching videos of his performance. Cagliostro, interesting concept of a servant. Not sure how well he will actually end up doing his intended job of, you know, denying enemy skills and buffs. But at the very least, if all else fails, he has, you know, a 50% battery for a 4-star servant, and his own MP damage buff and his own arts buff for, you know, good old arts looping. Oh, in case that wasn't enough, his own MP gem buff as well. So yeah, he at least has a fallback plan that he can use to still see value. And all of the buffs that we saw so far for 2024, most of them anywhere were good buffs. The only buff that I would say is kind of iffy is maybe Charlemagne's, but if you actually use Charlemagne, then I'm sure that's a very good buff. Or rather, that's how his skill should have always worked to begin with. But anyways, yeah, that'll do it for this video, chat, like I'm streaming. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys hopefully next time in the next edition of another hour-long JP analysis. So yeah, we'll see you guys then. Peace.